Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man, and this is my very first show, so I'm excited. And we have a very special guest as my very first guest. Y'all gonna love this one. My man, John. John, you out there?
I'm here.
John Ippolito. Now, John, when I put, the posting about you on Facebook, and they was like, who's this guy, John? Who is he? So, John, what I usually like to do is have people talk about their beginning. So can you please tell me how that happened?
How we met or what beginning?
When you started doing what you do.
What we do. Well, it goes way back. I mean, gosh, what I do in sports goes back to the age of 10. I met a guy, Zamar Shepard, who plucked me out of a recreational program in tennis. And my father was a fireman, didn't know anything about tennis. And he said, I want to coach your son. And he did. In tennis, it's every 2 years, 10 to 12, 12 to 14, the divisions. And he brought me on the ride of my life. By the age of 14, I was ranked pretty high, and 16, and then was able to obviously go to college and play tennis, but kept tennis as my main occupation and pastime until today. But that led me to meet many, many people in the music and sports industry. And when I met you, it was very interesting because I really got to see someone who saw the world like I did. We immediately talked about so many different people, David Thompson and Earl the Pearl Monroe, and people that they don't talk about nowadays. So I can give you my story as it goes along.
It looks like we lost Conn Man, but he should be back up sooner or later. But you can keep on, explaining how, what do you do now, and how, you go about your, things of basketball and everything else.
Okay. Well, I guess we lost the host right here, which is kind of interesting. He's someone that I met and really, really, really linked with. He saw the world the way I do in sports. As I said, tennis was my life. Played professionally, taught, had a tennis academy as recently as 2 years ago. I coached college tennis, went for a 10-year career, went 9 years without a loss. But what happened to me was I met a man named JoJo White from the Boston Celtics. He was the VP at the time of marketing. And he and I started several businesses together. And we went on quite a ride with the NBA Retired Players Association. And it was quite interesting. And meeting the Conn Man, I got to really, show him a lot of, my knowledge, his knowledge. I introduced him to Sam Jones, and they became friends. And I guess, that's it. There's so many stories. I guess we're probably gonna have to wait for him.
But my name is Key, by the way. I was producing the show, and I saw that he must have lost connection
Are
or
we
something
live
like
now?
that.
We live now?
Yeah,
No, we're live. We're live.
yes, we are.
Okay, I would hate to go forward there. I mean, unless you want to ask me some questions, but
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna we
he
gonna
and I
keep.
had kind of have a really neat relationship where he knows a lot of my really good friends, mostly from the NBA legends. The music world is a whole different thing for me. We do documentary films. My significant other, the most creative person I ever met, Sarah Hill Folger, and I do documentary films, and um, that's a whole different. We did one on a baseball player, Tony Canigliaro, but I think Conn Man wants to cover all of that.
Okay, so you said you seen many legends. So what's some of the players you came across?
Oh my gosh. Well, Satch Sanders and Satch played for the Boston Celtics. He's got 9 rings. He and I did a documentary called Men in Green on the Boston Celtics alumni, and we had Willis Reed in that. We had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, of course, all the Celtics, Cousy, Russell, you name it. Really, Jerry West. Became very, very close, intimate friends with Mark Eaton. Played for the Utah Jazz, 7'4". Became very intimate friends with Maurice Lucas. Obviously, Sam Jones, who was arguably one of my best friends. Jojo White was my kindred spirit, my brother. He passed away. We had a restaurant together. We started a business together in Jamaica, in the Caribbean islands, called Legends in the Sun. And I think we did probably, I think 11 NBA retired player trips. And with that, I was able to, go to all of the All-Star games with them, and it was just quite the ride, and still is to this day.
So you met or played with Bill Russell?
No, I didn't play. I played tennis.
Oh,
Uh,
tennis. I'm sorry.
I
So
played tennis. Bill Russell. No, Bill Russell was on the board of the NBA Retired Players Association. I initially met the whole board. I gave them a trip and had their annual meeting at Grand Lido Negril, one of our resorts that I was involved with, and Bill came, and got to know the real Bill Russell. Bill Russell, to me, is the GOAT. Um, what he did on the basketball court, as far as winning and putting together the word team, to me is second to none. But there's so many. I mean, I met people that you know just kind of blew my mind. I mean, Oscar Robertson. Russell Westbrook also, but every game triple double. Um, just amazing people, Rick Barry, um, just great people.
So who were some of the tennis stars that you played with or came across?
Well, Boris Becker was a good friend. Andre Agassi is a good friend. I mean, tennis is a small world, so everybody knows everybody. I was lucky enough then to play on the senior tour. Up until COVID, I had never missed. There's 4 national tournaments each year. I never missed a national tournament until COVID hit. Had quite the run there in the senior tour, and had a great tennis academy on Cape Cod with a guy that owned the club was a guy named Bobby Orr, number 4, probably in my estimation the greatest hockey player of all time. And Bobby gave me a call when I moved to the Cape. I was starting to build a clay court club, and he called me, and he had the Ridge Club, and I went and I had a 10-year career with the tennis academy there, and got to see Bobby every morning, have coffee with him, and strategize, and that was something also. I mean, he's another one, an idol of mine, and kind of neat.
I mean, that definitely. Oh, I think he's back. Yes,
Yeah,
he is. All right, he should be coming in soon. Give me a minute to get him in.
sure.
It's gone.
I held it down for you. I held it down for you.
You always do. I gotta buy you lunch or something. All right, let's go. All right.
You good? You still on?
Again, everyone, I apologize. Technical difficulties on my side. But anyway, we have a great show lined up. I got my man, John Ippolito. John, you still there?
I'm still here. We were actually talking a little bit while we were trying to find you. And
Yeah.
a few things, but I told him I had to wait for you. As I told her when I met you, it really energized me. Not too many people understand, the pieces of the puzzle as far as the NBA is concerned. I mean,
Yeah,
tennis is
you're right.
obviously my life. Tennis, I was as a tennis player. That's a whole different world. My music
Mhm.
life. But as far as the NBA legends, they don't make them like that anymore. And when I met you, your contagious personality, first of all, you had
Thank you.
you had such an amazing sports talk show then. I used to listen to it. We were in the same building together. And when I met
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you started telling me, and it was buzzwords for me, David Thompson, Earl the
Oh,
Pearl
yeah.
Monroe.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned a guy named Sam Jones, number 24. And you mentioned, North Carolina Central, John McClendon as coach. And I said, hey, listen, you want to meet Sam? And
Oh, yeah. I want everyone to listen to this
you got
story.
to tell the story there because, I mean, to know Sam Jones and to see the fabric and the character of this man. And I think the story that you have of me introducing it to you and what happened shows his character, if you could.
That, I'm going to tell the story from my point of view. Let the viewers know. As John stated, we were in the same building. I had my own show, and somehow or other, I found out that he was doing the entertainment for the Kilburn Mill Center, and I said, well, maybe I can get Chops for you. So Chops and I went upstairs to the entertainment room, whatever it's called, and we sat down, and this guy, about 6'8", he had a Yukon shirt on. And John mentioned him that, did he play at UConn? Then John turned to me and said, well, you know a little bit about basketball? I said, a little bit. And then he got on the phone and he went, da, 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 da. I'm like, who's he calling? And then John goes, what's going on, number 24? I'm like, who's he talking to? And then it was Sam Jones. That's how it originated. And that's why I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, John, for introducing me to him. I have never been so humbled in my life than having him on my show. And it was off the hook. Thank you so much.
Tell them what Sam did the next day after he was on the show.
Oh, okay. Well, the truth to be told is that they said I might only have 15 minutes with Sam. I said, I'll take 15 seconds. And all of a sudden, I mean, the conversation went on and on and on. We knew the same people, I was like, this is crazy. So anyway, my birthday's June 11th. The day we had our interview was June 10th. All of a sudden, I get a call from Sam Jones. I'm like, first of all, I said, who is this? He said, this is Sam Jones. I want to thank you for the great interview you did with me. I was like, in awe. I couldn't talk. And then, soon after he passed, and I still think about him, because he just made an impact on me. Because something, John, and all the viewers, I claim to be a historian. But anybody can read a book. Anybody can look up stats. But when you with someone who has experienced it like he did, it made a major impact on my life. And I don't know. I'm blessed to be able to know you, and for you to be having the opportunity to interview Sam Jones. For those of you who don't know, 10-time NBA champion with the Celtics.
And besides that, his story, John McClendon, in my opinion, his coach was parallel to Red Auerbach. And no one knows about that. John McClendon is a legend. And you can say what you want about racial equality, but that guy never got his due. I mean, they were playing in gyms and not even being able to play anyone. That guy is a legendary coach and man of character.
And you know something, Sam? When I mentioned that, because you had mentioned to me, you mentioned him. Sam went on and on. It was just a tremendous interview, and I got to learn so many things. And it's a testament to you, to Sam, and I've done a lot of interviews. I've interviewed a lot of people, and I've been fortunate to interview a lot of pros, as you know. But that guy made the most impact on me above anybody else.
Yeah. Well, there's several people, and I can't speak for the players of today. I know a few of them. I've gotten to know a few of them, but the legends were men of character. I mean, getting to meet someone like Willis Reed.
We're going to talk about that.
A man of character. Someone, when I met Willis, my dad, that was one of his idols. To see him come out limping, on the floor in that
against the Lakers, yeah.
And then to meet him and to become friends with him. He was in my movie. I did a documentary with Satch Sanders called Men in Green, which you saw, and Willis was in that. What a man! What a man! But out of all of them, not too many of them intimidated me, except for I was in Las Vegas at the NBA All-Star game. Mark Eaton and I got a call from Mel Davis, who was the president of the Legends of Basketball at the time, the NBA retired players. And he knew one of my idols, and he said, "Come down right now. We're going to have breakfast with the Big O."
Oh,
I said, come on. I went down there and talk about a man that has stature, and he's bigger than life to me. Triple-double in every game for a season. And you couldn't guard him. Watch his clips today. Why he's not in the conversation of top 10 of all time is beyond me. He's unstoppable and a man of fact. Played in Milwaukee, won the championship, and meeting him was wow.
John, speaking of that, I posted because I asked you to send me a picture, and you sent me pictures with every historic athlete. Can you let our viewers know who you have had contact with? Please let them know, because they got to know this. Incredible.
It starts with JoJo White. So JoJo White,
my man.
JoJo White and I were business partners. We had a restaurant together. And, I was involved in the Caribbean for many years. I had 17 resorts that I was involved with, and in tennis, and that led to JoJo and I going down and soliciting the NBA retired players. We ran their annual trip every year at one of our resorts. We also had their annual board meeting every year at Grand Legal Grill. So JoJo and I then started a company called legendsinthesun.com. Wow. And what that is when you have an all-inclusive resort, it's customary for them and for them to have the whole resort being taken over by a company when they'll have like a sales contest and whatever. And what you have to do is you have to have a speaker every single night. So JoJo White and I started a company where we would sell the trip to these companies, but we would replace the president of the company or the marketing manager who had to be the speakers with a legend of sport. And we had Willis Reed, we had Satch Sanders, Cousy, Russell, Willis Reed, Rick Barry.
Here we go.
And so Spencer Haywood, the most unbelievable character of all time. And then I became very good friends with several of them. The real good friends that I made really good friends with was Maurice Lucas, who died. And, a very, very good friend, and Rick Barry, Sam Jones, arguably one of my closest friends. Gosh, it goes on and on. Mark Eaton, Dave Bing, who was the amazing businessman.
That's my guy right there.
and then a really cool friend of mine, which I ended up helping him on a film called Black Magic, is Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Can you say that one more time?
Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Y'all listen to this?
And no one liked this guy. And he and his wife, who became good friends, ended up going down with him to Harlem and for Black Magic, which was an ESPN 4-part series. And Earl was the producer of that. And I'll tell you, take a look at any of you youngsters out there. You think you know players today? Go take a look at Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Absolutely. John,
Shake
can you do me a favor?
Go ahead. Shake and bake.
Oh, a lot of that. And he could jump about 2 inches. But anyway, what I want to get back to you is let the viewers know I guess you would call it a movie you did about the Boston Celtics and Satch Sanders as the commentator.
Yeah.
Y'all need to hear this one.
Yeah. So I did a movie. I knew Wick Gross back through JoJo. JoJo was the vice president of marketing at the time, and I did a movie called Men in Green. And I had the opposition in that, besides having Havlicek and Heinsohn and Sam Jones and Russell and everybody, Lacuzzi in his house. I had Jerry West. I had Willis Reed. And I had a man on. I traveled to New York. It was 101 degrees. And I had a man on who I interviewed who, to me, in my estimation, is one of the most educated men I've ever met in my life. And the kudos he gave to the game of basketball and what's wrong with the game today and how amazing the Celtics were was a man named Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh,
and I'll tell you, when he speaks, I don't know. I never met anyone with oratory skills like that.
He's something special.
He is.
He definitely is.
Yes, and he and I both love jazz, so we get to talk about Miles Davis and Oscar Peterson and Coltrane, and so he's a real jazz man. So I really enjoyed him.
You know, I watched that video, movie you did. Fantastic. And you know, Satch Sanders was so cool and laid back. Always geared up. He's one of a kind.
Yep.
I love him, man.
Yeah. So if anyone would love to see the films, we did a film on Tony Canigliaro called 25. We're currently shooting a film called Backbeat from Above on the life of Sib Hashin, who was the drummer from the band Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, his son-in-law is a man named Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. So it's kind of cool. And I'm doing that with Sarah Hill Folger, my significant other, who's the producer, and I'm the director.
Mm-hmm.
And she's kind of the cog in the wheel right now. She does everything for us. And so our website is yellowboxentertainment.com and then theartuniverse.com if anyone would like to take a look at the films and what we do.
John, can you let the viewers know one more time so they can know about
yellowboxentertainment.com and then theartuniverse.com. Sarah Hill Folger.
You know, John, I claim to be a historian, and sometimes I think I am. But, when I met you and the players that brought back so much history for me. And a lot of the viewers don't know, but at the age of 12, while kids were doing whatever they were doing, I was going to the library looking up at microfilm about Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell. I could tell you every single stat at the age of 12. So I've been following the game since NBA since the age of 12, and I love the history of the game. I think back to how the players did and how some of them had 2 jobs and how they sacrificed a lot of things in order to be able to play in the NBA. Mm-hmm. And all these players today are making millions and millions of dollars. But if it wasn't for the old timers, they wouldn't be there. Like, I had on one of my shows, I talk about Oscar Robertson and the things he did and stood for. I talked about the 1964 All-Star game at the Boston Garden when the players finally got together and said, let's establish a union. And if you remember that, the owners were like, nah, we ain't going to do that. And the players said, we're not going to play. And because of that, they ended up forming a union, a pension. And then soon after that, Oscar Robertson developed the free agency. So that's how far back I go. But anyway, you energized me. I mean, because a lot of people had history back in the day. But I love history, man, and I love the game today. And the reason why I wanted you on the show is because in my future shows, of course, I'm going to talk about NBA left and right. But I wanted to bring attention to the people who are watching about the history, about the past.
Right.
Because without the past, it wouldn't be a present right now.
Right. Right. Well, Spencer Haywood, there's
that's another one.
He changed the pay for everyone. It's amazing. And what a man! Talk about a funny guy. I mean, he's unbelievable. What a talented player he was. Let me tell you a few stories. Let me tell you one story.
I want to hear them.
These are guests I'm going to so a couple of guests that I'd like to have on your show. Obviously, would be Rick Barry, Dr.
Oh boy. Okay.
And then a man that I know you and I both admire, and a lot of people don't talk about in today's conversation. Let's talk about Skywalker, 48 vertical, David Thompson. I mean, the guy was, in my estimation, probably top 5 college player of all time.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Top 2. That guy, Michael, he and Michael probably could have done in the dunking contest. It would have been something. It would have been. He could go up. He could get up.
And it was honor that of all the people Michael Jordan could have asked to represent him at the Hall of Fame, guess who he chose?
Yep.
David Thompson.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So
NC State. Yep. Competing school. So when we were in Jamaica one time, they were there for 5 days, 4 nights, 5 days, and Dr. J was there, and he and I hit it off. Another jazz freak, and he said, I'd like to stay for about 2 or 3 days after. I said, well, I know a place, Half Moon Bay, you can golf, and I know some really cool jazz clubs. Like, we got to travel with it, but I have a driver. I got to spend 3 days with Dr. J, with a driver, and man, I'll tell you, what a cool cat. What a cool cat. So I'm going to call him and see if we can get him on.
That would be great. And you know something, John?
The guy who changed the game, obviously. Just changed the game.
And what's great about it, John, that's why you and I click. In future shows, I'm going to talk about the opportunity I had to play against Dr. J, and which was amazing, and also Nate Archibald. So we have a click there. So in my future shows, I'm going to talk about that and playing against Nate Archibald. So you and I, you know way more people than I do. But I think by having you enable me to have the guest that you were referring to, this might be one of the damn best shows going on.
Yeah, I
hope so anyway.
Well, you had a pretty good show before, and I mean this Empire Sports Network. This is where you need to be. This is the place.
Something I didn't give praise to Freddie Henderson, who my voice is going, who got me on the network. So I want to pay tribute to him because he saw the vision, and I think he wanted me to be a part of it. And I cannot go without saying Key Williams, because without the efforts of Key Williams, we would not have the show.
Yeah, I only wish that JoJo was alive, because he
would have been
amazing. Let me tell you a JoJo story, which a lot of people don't know. So Rico Petrocelli is one of my best friends, and Rico, Rico was he and I were doing something where we were speaking somewhere, and we were talking, and let's see, that was Sam Jones, Stat Sanders, JoJo White, myself. And we were doing I called it an evening with champions, or something I used to do. I would interview them, and the subject of JoJo came up because he was my partner, and it's not going to JoJo story. His wife Elsie, my wife Elsie and I were at the Boston Garden, and they were playing the Phoenix Suns, and I was sitting, pretty good seats, and yes, the triple overtime, as everyone knows, the famous triple overtime game. And the guy at the end of the game, because they went into the locker room, as legend has it, and they came back out because the officials saw that it said the shot had gone in, so tied again, triple overtime. And the man that was sitting in front of Rico and Elsie said, "That look at JoJo White. They just won the look at that. Look at him, that lazy son of a gun, sitting in the middle of the court. Everyone else is celebrating. And there he is sitting there, and Rico tapped the guy on the shoulder and said, "Hey, pal, listen to me." Of course, Rico had just hit 40 home runs for the Red Sox. What an amazing player for the Red Sox.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, pal, listen. First of all, he has Kansas sneakers on. He went into triple overtime, went into the locker room, which means he took his shoes off, had his ankles taped, took off his tape, came back out, and here's the deal, buddy. He played every single minute of that game.
I remember.
Never came out of the game. I mean, they don't do that nowadays, Conn Man. They don't do that nowadays. They get a rest. Not back then.
That's why I respected the players. And if you remember, there's so many injuries right now during the NBA with the athletic trainers and all this stuff going. Back in the day, there weren't that many injuries.
No.
For the players. They just play through it. You know what I mean? They sacrifice a lot. And my heart goes out to them. And that's why, I keep making sure that the players of the past are never forgotten. And I will continue to do that.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. And there's so many more. There's so many amazing people, that forged, career for the rest of them right now. Yeah.
And John, you know something? I want to, even though this is my first show, but I'm going to have a lot more, hopefully. I got a big mouth. So it's not about me. This is about you. What do you want the viewers and listeners to know about yourself and about what your vision is for the future for whatever endeavors you are doing?
Well, we're involved in documentary films right now, so we're looking for subject matters that mean something. Doing a film on Tony Conigliaro, who had, first player, that hit 100 home runs, tragic ending, deemed by Jack Hamilton, never the same, and then, just died. Had a terrible life after that. So we were able to do the first film on him, and it came out great. I'd love for you to see it, and keep his legacy alive. And looking for other subject matters. There's so many. Of course, someone like Kareem or someone like Dr. J. There's many on them. But I'm talking about people that don't know, like Sam Jones, like Dave Bing. I mean, if I wish I was in Detroit. Dave Bing is a role model for the underprivileged. He's the most amazing businessman you'll ever meet. He's built an empire in a very humble way.
Yep.
And then, then there's another guy that I became good friends with through JoJo, a man named Irvin Magic Johnson. And there's another guy.
Oh, God. Y'all popped up some names, man. Y'all popped up some names.
Yeah, but what they don't know about him, yes, he's Showtime, and yes, he's Magic, but he's also Irvin businessman. He opened a string of movie theaters, and the way he did it and leveraged his positions, taking risks, and then putting the money back in those communities that he opened his businesses. Same thing with Dave Bing. That's the story behind the story, right?
And a lot of people don't know, when Dave Bing went to Syracuse, his backcourt mate was Jim Boeheim. I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yep.
Dave Bing also, his rookie year, he led the league in scoring. Dave Bing's from Washington, D.C. And also, what a lot of people don't know is he had a detached retina. So he was basically seeing out of one eye.
Wow.
You know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He had detached retina.
Wow.
Incredible. That was my idol. That's like one of my second idols. So I know everything about Dave Bing. So, again, that's why I'm so excited having you on the show, because you pump me up, because you and me are in the same boat as far as history is concerned. And, you didn't talk about the other people you have met. I saw the pictures. Manu Bo, Robert Parrish. You could have a book of all the pictures you've been with of all the great athletes. It's amazing.
Yeah, Manute was a story in itself. 7'7". Manute had a real tough time. He went to the Sudan, and they imprisoned him. He lost every penny. So he came back here, and I met him through the NBA Retired Players Association. He lived in Hartford, Connecticut, and he and I became friends. We were able to get a contingency of 5 people, friends of mine, to support him. Unfortunately, we had a drive. Well, there was a driver that was hired to bring him to a speaking engagement at a casino in Connecticut, in Foxwoods, and on the way home, the driver was intoxicated, no license, got in an accident, was thrown from the car 25 feet and died. And that was just a tough one for me because he was really starting to learn how to speak and getting the courage to, to be marketed, which we were doing for him. A beautiful family. And I'll tell you, he had, he lost every penny in the Sudan.
Wow.
Government took his money. And just the character. That was the character. Yep.
Wow, that is wow. Well, I want to commend you because the documentaries that you produce are fantastic, and I want people to be able to go check them out because they're very well done. You guys do a great job, and again, another reason why I wanted you on the show is because you are one of the most humble people I've ever met. A lot of people in your situation, I guess, could have an ego because you know everybody. And, I've never been with someone that said, hey, hold on, let me get my phone. Boom, 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 boom. And I think, if I'm correct, you tried to call Earl of Pearl Monroe, if I'm correct that day, I'm correct.
That's correct.
And how many people have Sam Jones on their phone and Earl of Pearl Monroe? Who has that? You.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you something about you, which I admire, and the listeners probably don't know. I follow you on social media, and for you to keep alive the New Bedford legends, and there's so many. It's such a basketball. It's one of the greatest basketball cities in the Northeast, and for you to pay homage to them, and just think what it does for their families, the ones that have passed, and then the ones that are living. It's got to energize them, and I educate myself on some of these amazing athletes that came out of New Bedford, yourself included, and you still play, which a lot of people don't know.
Oh yeah,
you still play, and some of the stuff you do for them is just great, and people are going to remember that for a very long time.
John, thank you so much, man. That's I'm very appreciative of that. That just comes from the heart. A lot of people don't really like to recognize others, but it's been my mission to recognize others, and I have a joy in doing it, and it brings me joy to give people recognition. So, thank you again for that. Now, John, tell people what you do now.
Well, I'm still involved in tennis up until COVID. I had never missed playing in one of the 4 national tournaments each year, which is grass court, indoor, clay courts, and grass courts. And I had a tennis academy at the Ridge Club, which was a man named Bobby Orr, number 4, owned. And, that was a great ride and that was great to wake up every morning and and have coffee with Bobby and go over things. And tennis was my life and still is. However, we've branched out into documentary films and into music. We're shooting a documentary right now on the drummer from the band Boston that died, Passion. And as I told you, his son-in-law is a man called Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. So that's really cool. Sarah Hill Folger, my significant other, and I just have so much fun producing these films.
And also, you invited me to an event at the Kilburn, and you just rolled off like it was nothing, but it was a big deal to me. That guy goes by the name of Doug Flutie.
Yep.
How did that come about?
Well, Doug's a good friend. Doug and I had the same agent. Actually, this Saturday I'll be with Doug all day. He's in the film for Sid Passion, and we're interviewing this Saturday. Went up to Laconia, New Hampshire, to spend the day with him. He's just a really good friend. He's been a friend for years, and he's a drummer. And Doug is one of the most competitive men I've ever met.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was kind of neat to bring him for the night when you met him and to introduce you to him. And
Yes.
yeah, he's a great guy. You know, he's a good guy, very competitive man, and again, a pioneer. What he did with the Generals,
Uh-huh.
first $1 million man.
Yep.
And then to see him come back in the end and get his shot and do quite well, it was kind of neat for me. And
You know something too, John? I don't mean to interrupt you, but you know his son has autism.
yes, he does. Well, the Doug Flutie
And
Foundation is
yes, and
I
that
have a
is
grandson with autism, so he and I have that in common. And Doug and Laurie, his wife, pour a lot of time into that. A
wow.
lot of time. Yep.
All right, John, I'm gonna hit you up now. Okay, you seem to know everybody. Now I'm gonna hit you hard now. Here's my question. Of all the people that you have come across, who do you think made the most impact that you met?
On me or on the world?
On you.
On me?
Yeah?
Sam Jones. Sam Jones. I'll tell you
Oh,
what.
man.
The way he treated his wife Gladys, the way he treated his grandchildren, the way he treats his children, the way he treats a man like you, that he saw your enthusiasm and your heart for the history.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story about Sam Jones. I was shooting the film Men in Green, and I played a lot of basketball, and we dedicated our crummy little aluminum backboard court called Bennett School to a man who kind of started all the leagues, a man named Steve Miller. And long story short, there was about 40 of my friends that came all across the country for this gathering to dedicate the court to T. Miller. So I got the brainstorm. I got to interview Sam Jones for the movie, in Green. So I said, Sam, listen, let me get you an autograph signing. And why don't you come up? And I want to do something special for my friends. And so what happened was this crummy little court in Leominster, Massachusetts. My friends were all there, 40 of them. And we, growing up, because they were aluminum backboards with holes in them, and they were dead, so we would bank. So we always said, who's the king of the bank? Benny Bengrazi, Jackie Hazel, Tony Donato, Frank McDonald, and Freddie Shera. And we would always have that. Well, there was one guy we had that was a friend that would always say, too late, which Sam Jones would say, because he was the king of the bank. So I said to them, listen, guys, we're shooting the film after at a place called Legends in Leominster. They didn't know who was coming. And I said, I got a surprise for you. First of all, I want to answer, who's the king of the bank? So they're all saying, let's take a poll. Is it Benny? Is it Mike? Blah, blah, blah. I said, no, it's none of you. And I picked up my phone. I dialed it. And I said, come now. And 3 seconds later, a white limousine pulled up with Sam Jones in it. He got out and they flipped. And Sam Jones came and held court. And if you look at Men in Green, you'll see that court, the one I sent you. You'll see those are my friends, and there's Sam Jones. And what happened was he talked about he wanted to be a teacher, and he spent time, and he became friends with some of my friends, and one of my friends, Benny Michael Bengrazi, he actually visited his mother. He was so impressed with his mother because she came, and she was sick. Sam Jones came to visit her. That's the kind of guy Sam Jones is. Never says a word, and you know what he's like. You talked to him. You became friends with him. He made you a friend. And family, God, giving back. He was a man. He's just the most amazing man I've ever met.
And John, again, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to interview him. But one thing I will say, because he's very humble, as you know, he don't really talk about himself. So I'm trying to get stuff out. I'm trying to think this. So I said, Sam, if you played in today's game, how do you think you would fare? What do you think he said? You already know the answer. But it took me, he's very humble. I mean, the guy has 10 championship rings.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And he's so humble. And, you know, the day he passed, I put him on posted Facebook, and it was very emotional for me. I cried like a baby. That you
Yep.
know, I cried for the fact that you allowed me to be able to interview him, and I cried like a baby because I got to interview him, and I owe you a debt of gratitude forever for doing that for me. I want that from the bottom of my heart, John. I want everybody to know I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be able to, visit him down in Florida and stay in his house and have breakfast with him, and just to really listen to his philosophy on life it fuels you. It really does fuel you. And he was the Jerry West of the East. He really was. He was something else.
And because I claim I'm a historian, John, I was trying to bring out the tough times that the Celtics had, or the minorities had, and he would talk about that.
You sure?
And people don't know.
No.
And that's why I want people to understand what they went through, being African Americans playing the NBA, and what they had to go through.
Sure.
Bill Russell, that's why he didn't deal with Boston for 20-something years until they had the statue of him. It's a long story about the Celtics. And, Sam Jones really, to me, epitomizes what a real NBA ball player should be. Humble. Yep. Hardworking, ethic, professional, credit. I mean, off the hook. And I used to watch him, man. He was so smooth. 6'4". I mean, he was nice. Great ball player.
So he had one problem in life. I'm going to have to let it out, and I hate to say this. Sam, I know you're looking down. Don't get mad at me, but Sam had one problem in life, and it involved a chair and a man named Wilt Chamberlain.
I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah,
Ray Embry was there too. I remember.
You got to look at the picture of 7'2" Wilt Chamberlain, ready to, and there's Sam Jones defending himself with a chair. I mean, that's something else. And the way he told the story, and I think he told you the story, and the way he tells it is funny. But getting back to the racial inequality, Red Auerbach, instilled in that team to stick together, as you know. So when they were down in these places where they weren't able to be served, the entire team stuck together. Satch can tell the story better than anyone, but here's a guy, Satch Sanders, bow tie, Harvard coach, eloquent, and he would just try to, reason. Say, it's okay, guys. Imagine what they went through. Just amazing. But Sam told you those stories. Told you the stories, I'm sure, about McClendon playing in the against these Division I teams when they weren't allowed to say they played them, and they beat them. They weren't allowed to publicize it back then. So so many underlying stories, with these legends.
I guess I want the viewers to try to picture this. You're playing for the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
And you're winning championships.
Yeah.
But you can't eat with your teammates.
No.
Can you picture that? Bill Russell, considered the best player of all time.
Number one.
And look at what he had to go through. Amazing. It's
what Bill Russell did was he took action. A man named Muhammad Ali, and several others got together.
Jim Brown,
who was the leader of that pack, one of the most amazing men of all time. Athletic wise and character. But they formed coalitions and did something about it. And they did something about it. They did something about it. And think about that. Bill Russell lived in Reading, Mass. And, his house was broken into on numerous.
Yes, absolutely.
And they defecated in his bed.
Yes.
And he, no wonder he was bitter. But here's a guy, 40 rebounds in a game. Who gets 40 rebounds in a game nowadays?
Nobody.
Now you're playing it. It's not just Wilt Chamberlain. It's Nate Thurmond he's playing against.
Oh yeah.
It's you're talking about some serious competition, and he won 11 out of 13 and should have won the 12. And then he was the first black coach in the league. Imagine coaching an NBA team now from the bench. as a player.
Impossible. And also,
let alone being the first black coach and having racial slurs thrown at you on a nightly basis because he was, they didn't want him to coach, even though they adored him when they won.
and I played at Marshfield, Mass, which was a Boston Celtics camp, and we played. But it was a week's camp. So Red Auerbach, I'll never forget this. Red Auerbach was talking about, because me being me, I was asking him, like, why did you choose Bill Russell to be the head coach of the Boston Celtics in an era when there was no black coaches? What made you decide to do that? And nobody told. He said it was the right thing to do. And if I remember correctly, we had a meeting, all the players and the counselors, and he had one ring on. And I asked him, I said, Mr. Auerbach, what ring was that? Now, John, what ring you think that was?
Say again? What was the most important?
Well, he had one ring on his finger. He had one ring. He won. He only had one. What ring do you think that was?
The last one. The Bills.
Nope. It was the very first one.
Oh.
When I was at camp, me being me, I like took in everywhere. I was like a sponge. And I'll tell you the listeners about this one. Now you talk about the NBA and defensively. This is what Red Auerbach said. It was amazing. I'll never forget it. He said, you know something? I should tell my players this. When you're playing defense and someone strips you, that's like taking a shirt off. He says, if they strip you again or you turn the ball over, that's like taking your shorts off. And then he kept going on. So he said, you might end up being naked. And what that did to me, John, is I realized how important it is to be able to take care of the ball. And when he told us that, it stood in my mind. And it was a great thing for him to say that. And, I'm overwhelmed that you're on my show. I'm overwhelmed that you gave me the opportunity to speak with my man, Sam Jones. I am so sad that he passed away. And it's really emotional for me, as it is for you. And I'm glad I have you on my very first show, because I want people to understand the history. Everybody talks about the NBA today, but how was it back in the day and what they had to go through? And it means so much to me. And again, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for all you've done for me. And you made my day. That day when you got on the phone and he said, hold on. He said, hold on. And then you call Pearl Monroe. I almost had a stroke. I was like, what is this? Who is this guy? And, I'll never forget it. You are something else.
You are too, Conn Man. I'm so happy for you and to have this show. This is what you deserve. It's time. The time has come, and it's good for you. And there's so many other stories. I'm glad you saw that documentary. Go back and look at it again and see what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said about the game today. And in the end, I echoed him and about the they got it. Players today don't get it. They got it. The Celtics got it. Sam told me a story. He said, we didn't lift many weights. We did everything on the court between the lines because they were all cut. Like they were lifting weights. They did everything on the court. He said we would Red Auerbach. We'd walk in the gym and from Russell, right down to KC, and they would do their drills for the first 15 minutes. It was called the ball never is allowed to touch the floor. So they would run and score and just pass, fast break. And then, of course, they put that into action with Russell, stripping rebounds, 40 of them, 45 of them, 28 of them, 38 of them, 32 of them, and the outlet pass. And if you look at some of the old films, that the ball never touched the floor.
And also, John, too, you remember this. I know when Bill Russell blocked the shot, he kept it in play.
He sure did. He blocked with a purpose. We talked about that. He really did. He was an amazing man. To travel to Jamaica with him so many times was
oh my God
for me. And like I said, you know, all these guys. I mean, just amazing. Jocko J and Willis Reed. I mean, gosh, Earl the Pearl Monroe, Black Magic, Shake and Bake. Yeah, just the Dave Bing, Spencer Haywood, Moses Malone. Good people. Good people.
How many people can say
George
that
the Iceman? George the Iceman.
Oh, forgot about you. John, man, you live an incredible life, man. Man, wow. I wish I was with you to meet all them players. You know, it make my day. But you know, you and I will obviously keep in contact, and hopefully we can have some of them other guys come on the show. It'd be great. And you know, I'm looking forward to that as well. And wow. John, you made my day. For my very first show, I'm excited. I'm pumped up, and I can't wait for the NBA season to kick off. I'm gonna be opening my mouth. I'm ready to roll. You know what I mean? Again, I want to thank Freddie Henderson.
Yep.
I want to thank Keith Williams for allowing me to have my show, and I want to thank you, John, for coming on. I know you're a busy man, but again, John, thank you for everything you've done for me. And folks, we'll be on every Thursday evening on Sports Corner with the Conn Man. Tune in. We got another special guest next Thursday, and we got some surprises coming up. So again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned for next Thursday. It's going to be off the hook. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Have a safe and peaceful night. John, thank you again.
Thank you, buddy.
Good night.